Hello everyone. I found some information at Mad Cow Morning News. Not these. I want to show you the headline in a second, or this changing tile here. Uncle Ruslan aided terrorist from CIA official's home. Really? Wow. Uncle Ruslan is the uncle that's been so vocal in the news. Boston bomber's uncle married daughter of a top CIA official. Here this guy is. Father-in-law, son-in-law. CIA. Lived in their house. Boston bomber's uncle Ruslan was a Halliburton contractor. No kidding. Halliburton. They're innocent. That's what we think, don't we? Okay, I think that's enough of those headlines. Boston bomber's uncle married to a daughter of top CIA official. We know this. Most of this is already old news by now. But what we do not really know is that the chief suspect was a red-haired Armenian exorcist. A red-haired Armenian exorcist. That's the chief culprit that Uncle Ruslan is pointing to, that debauched Tamerlan, the older brother that has been killed somehow by who knows who. Really. They were fingering a suspect who may not even, in fact, exist. It's like blaming one-armed hippies on acid for killing your wife. Well, that probably wouldn't work out good for them. Here's the daughter, here's the ex-wife, the daughter of the CIA guy, who, by the way, works for the Bank of England now. The Bank of England. Gets deep, gets deeper, gets more deepy. The Congress of Chechen International, care of Graham Fuller. This is the address. Graham Fuller's father-in-law. His address is what? Uncle Ruslan Tsarni, except that he changed his name to Tsarni when incognito, I guess, when he applied for all these legal documents in Rockville, Maryland, at 11114 Whisperwood Lane, Rockville, Maryland. That's the address of the father-in-law. So, anyway, we're going to go on down because that's not what's so interesting. Success through indirection, misdirection, redirection, and protection. I love these words. Uncle Ruslan's spy connecting goes far deeper than was already known, which was that he spent 2 years working in Kazakhstan for U.S. aid. But the mainstream media was looking the other way. Under the headline, "Did Misha Influence Tsarnev in Watertown?" Doubts. USA Today reported Misha, the new name, has emerged from in the Boston Marathon bombing case, one familiar to the family of the two men accused of the atrocity, apparently of interest to Russian and American security services as well. Ruslan Tsarni was the first to bring up the supposed man's supposed name, or rather he first brought up the first name, Misha. But it was enough. We're off to the races. Attention all cars. Be on the lookout for a chubby Armenian exorcist. Here's his picture. Pretty sure that's his picture. Tsarni described Misha to CNN as being chubby, a big guy, a big mouth, presenting himself with some kind of abilities as exorcist, having some part-time job in one of the stores, not married. All of the qualifications of a loser, just another big mouth. According to Uncle Ruslan, Misha was a man who, over a considerable period of time, had radicalized Tamerlan. It seems strange then, in contrast to his "you are there" verbal picture of the man, even all his supposed concerns, and given his high level of education, abundant resources, big sky energy, was paying him in excess of $200 should be, a year, according to documents filed with the SEC. Ruslan had somehow never found out just who this bad guy was. But red-headed, big face, big mouth, exorcist, that's probably him or one of his friends. He never got a name, something that in spookdom is considered something of a faux pas. Then again, no one else had either. Worse, Tsarni's vivid description seemed to be taken from personal observation from, in other words, real life. But that isn't possible. Tsarni had stated that he hadn't physically been in the presence of his Boston relatives since December of 2005. And Misha, if he existed, didn't show up on the scene until 2008 at the earliest. Still, just a few days later, the entire family began chiming in. Misha anecdotes were flying fast and furious, and the nation's scribblers were busy uncritically scribbling down their every word. Scribbling. Maybe their Twitter account got hacked again? No performance was nearly as masterful as that of the Associated Press. Bomb suspect influenced by mysterious radical, reported the AP, Associated Press. Tamerlane's relationship with Misha could be a clue in understanding the motives behind the religious transformation and ultimately the attack itself, reported the AP. Only to take it all back in the very next line. 2 U.S. officials say he had no tie to terrorist groups. Okay, A, transformation, ultimately the attack, or B, no terrorist ties, or C, none of the above. Who knows? The AP story about the mysterious Misha was 1145 words long enough for an editor to squeeze in a caveat. It was not immediately clear whether the FBI has spoken to Misha or whether was attempting to do so. The National Wire Service reported efforts over several days by the Associated Press to identify and interview Misha have been unsuccessful. Some job at some store, some big guy with red hair, big mouth, Armenian, convert. Oh, here we go. The big difference is when you do it, it's a conspiracy theory, and when we do it, it's informed speculation. In any other context, this might be seen as the rankest kind of conspiracy theory. But apparently, when the Associated Press does it, it's news. Then Uncle Ruslan made a clear misstep. What's that? Let's see what the misstep was. An uncle of the alleged bombers claims that Misha, an Armenian convert to Islam, had a huge influence on the elder brother Tamerlan Tsarni. Describing him as an Armenian exorcist, Tsarni said, somehow he just took his brain. Sorry. Armenians are a deeply rooted Christian community which is proud of the fact that their country was the first in the world to adopt Christianity as a state religion in 301 AD. They're proud of the fact they were first in the world to adopt Christianity as their state religion in 301 AD. That is a long time, buddy. Moreover, this is the week of the year they remember the Armenian Holocaust, when as many as 1 million Armenians were slaughtered by Turkish Muslims. In a large, close-knit Boston Armenian community, a red-bearded Armenian named Misha becoming a radicalized Muslim would stand out. Yeah. I never heard of him, nor has anyone I know. Hilda Avedisian, Executive Director of Armenian Cultural and Educational Center. So what if the guy was involved in the biggest bank fraud in history? Now we're talking not about Misha here. The guy would be the uncle. What if he was involved in the biggest bank fraud in history? For an Armenian to convert to Islam is like finding a unicorn in a field. Nurses Zurabayan, 32, an information technology director who lives in nearby Cambridge, told USA Today. Unicorns, we find them a lot. Here in Texas, no problem. The report reveals that the bomber's uncle, made famous for his outspoken condemnation of his nephews, which was aired repeatedly on international news networks, is a well-connected oil executive who at one point worked for a Halliburton shell company used as a front to obtain oil contracts from the Kazakh state. Ruslan Tsarni was implicated in an investigation involving the laundering and theft of, count 'em, $6 billion. But everyone loves Uncle Ruslan, at least most of America's MSM mainstream media does. There has been no speculation to date at all about the uncle of the men suspected in the bombing and why he wants them killed. Why does he want his nephews killed? That's what bothers me. He hasn't seen them since '05 and he just hates them so bad. Why is that? Bombing, who may have been involved in international intrigue at the highest levels, that would be Unc, and who married the daughter of a top CIA official. He might warrant a closer look. Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, here's the last one. I like this. News, someone once wrote, is a selection, and selection is always based on an ideology and agenda, which is something to remember the next time you watch, listen, or read the news. Yes, definitely. Who is this guy? What is his agenda? Who is he? Why does he want the kids killed? Why did the other one's throat get slit? He cannot talk. This sounds so unbelievably grotesque. And here we are watching it live, and most of the country is just clapping. What's up with them? What's up with all of us? There's more questions to be answered. Thank you for watching.